Welcome back to It Was Never a Phase Cards. My name is TJ, and 2 days ago we were talking about how across the board a lot of chase cards were declining while the sealed product was continuing to rise in value or at least hold, and that got me thinking about one of my favorite sets, Crown Zenith. And I wanted to check in on it, and this morning I hopped on TCG Player, and there's a few products that really stood out to me as potential good buys, even in this current crazy bull market. But first, we have to talk about the chase cards. Now, obviously, the Giratina gold card, absolutely stunning top chase card from the set. This one is following the trend as well as most of the cards from the set. The higher value cards are seeing a decline. This one down almost 7% in the past month, and interestingly, dropping down below that $200 price mark, which it had held for a while now. You can see it is still up a little bit on the 3 month chart back here from 188. It peaked at around 215 back in late January, and then it's kind of been it kind of held strong, and then it's been on a little bit of a decline since end of February. It's been on a slow decline, so just breaking down under that $200 mark for the Giratina. Now, if we zoom out, obviously, just like the other chase cards, because of the extreme bull market, still massive growth, 100% in 6 months and 146% in the last year. So the card's still doing very, very well overall, just a lot of decline or correction or whatever you want to call it, market adjustment, things cooling off a little bit. We're in a little bit of a cool down period currently, kind of across the board. But the sealed side's still doing really well, and we're going to get to that in a second. Next up is the Mewtwo, obviously fighting the Charizard. Very popular card, second most expensive card in the set, down 8% as well in the past 1 month. In the last 3 months, though, it's still up a little bit, 5%, right? So this increase or decrease in price, rather, coming just pretty much in the past month. Take a zoom out in perspective here. 6 months up 105%, 1 year up 148%. So the card's still, obviously, like I said, performing very well. It's just a recent trend that we're seeing. The Arceus here down 7% in the past month as well. And, from 134 down to around 124. So not that crazy of a drop, really, on a lot of these cards. And we'll do a zoom out on here. 6 months up 106%. So very, very common. You can see a lot of the charts, they're matching up between the cards. They're following each other, doing kind of the same things overall. So 114% on the year. But then we start to look at sealed. And this is where things continue to get interesting, and where I always say, if you're looking to set some money aside into something, it's always sealed. It's just more stable. Not that it doesn't have drops along the way, but as supply increases on the cards, supply and demand, people are always opening, introducing new supply of singles, where the sealed only goes down. Specifically with a set like Crown Zenith, it's older, it's not going to get reprinted. And I wanted to talk about the Pokemon Center. This is the Pokemon Center ETB Plus, is what they called it back when this set came out. Now, this is not one of the two products that I thought were kind of like a really great buy currently, but I just wanted to note that this one has been continuing to see some massive growth even since the last time we checked in on Crown Zenith 3 months ago, 162, and now we're seeing it at over a $300 mark for this box. We can see last solds have been actually under that $300 mark, so it looks like maybe this box might be dipping currently if this chart updates. Pretty much high 280s, so it looks like this market price of 305 is a little high compared to what we're seeing for the last solds. If we go to lowest listeds, that does reflect we're seeing around 280 for the lowest listeds there on the ETB Plus. But then we get into some more interesting products, and maybe a little bit controversial, right? And we've talked about this before on the channel if you've been around for a while. Sea and Skybox. I'm a big fan of the Sea and Skybox. Now this one's still up pretty big, 77% in the past 3 months. Now, I know that these have still been like popping up in Sam's Clubs recently, like trickling in. So, keep that in mind. It's not as good of a play as the next product that we're going to talk about, that I do think is a solid pickup. But when you play the comparison game, right? So you have to be careful with this box just because there's been more coming into supply, like trickling in at times. And you can see like that affected it right here. I believe we had a big influx of product right here. It went from 74 up to 103 and then came back down to the 80s. So that was a pretty significant little drop. But then after the supply got eaten up, we're at $132 per Sea and Skybox. Now, the interesting thing is when you compare it to the Zacian Premium Figure Collection box, this one's at $136, and it's still, it's up 68%, doing really well. This has less packs. You can see right here, 11 packs versus Sea and Sky having 14. So technically a little bit cheaper, and you get more packs. So comparatively, obviously different product, but if you're pretty much just looking for packs, the Sea and Sky box, much better value per pack there. So I still really like the Sea and Sky boxes just because of the amount of packs that you get. Like I said, this is not the number one product for if I was looking to pick up some stuff. It is number two, but I kind of like the Sea and Sky boxes. So once again, be a little careful with those just because of new supply coming in. But Sea and Sky box, can't really go wrong with picking those up, especially like I said, when you start to compare to this box. Obviously we're not really seeing this box come in like the Sea and Sky, so it's a little bit older, so keep that in mind as well. Before we get to the product that I like, I don't think it's super controversial, but the product I really like a lot, I just wanted to remind you guys to enter the giveaway. We're doing the biggest giveaway we've ever done on the channel, so you can click and watch this video. And I would you have to be subscribed to the channel, so if you're not already, that is one of the requirements to enter. Subscribe, watch the video, tells you exactly how to enter. We're doing a booster box, prismatic ETB, tons of stuff on that giveaway, so make sure you check that out. It'll be linked at the end of the video as well. Then it's just the ETB. The ETB, now hear me out, the comparison that I want to make here is Crown Zenith is arguably one of the top tier sets from Sword and Shield era. If it was a booster box set, I think it would have went down potentially as one of the greatest. Maybe second place after Evolving Skies, depending on how you want to fight that battle. But just hear me out real quick. Look at this current market price right here, $124. You can see that there's a recent sale at $140, but before that we're seeing 120s and 130s. Current market at $124, right, for Crown Zenith regular ETBs. So the comparison I make with this one is if you're looking at Paldean Fates is at 126. Now, Paldean Fates, in the reprint window, it could still get reprinted. It's a newer set, Scarlet and Violet era. Or you can pick up Crown Zenith at near or the same price, depending, right? Obviously, right now, lowest listeds are actually around 130-ish. 130 to 140. There's still a few in the 130 before it goes up. So looks like the box might be going up on the Crown Zenith. But when you compare it to Paldean Fates 124 to 126, and you can see most recent sale right here for Paldean Fates at 130. When you compare them, you go, okay, well, Crown Zenith not going to get reprinted. Definitely a better set. Not that there's anything wrong with Paldean Fates. Obviously iconic cards, got the Bubble Mew, super fun to open, all the baby shinies and all of that. It's a really fun, great set. But I think when you compare the two, there's so much more depth to Crown Zenith. It's top tier. It's like a goated set in my opinion. I don't think it's really even a competition. So, albeit, I do acknowledge that this is expensive for an Elite Trainer box, but give this a few more years and look back on Crown Zenith and see where these ETBs are going to be at. They're going to be expensive, so you don't have to worry about reprints or anything here with Crown Zenith currently. So, yeah, I don't think that we're going to be seeing any of that. They got so much new stuff that they have to make sure that they prioritize moving forward. So, yeah, just keep that in mind. Crown Zenith ETBs, I think between that and the Sea and Sky boxes, I still think that those are good values. Lots of packs and an amazing set. So I like when I like to do comparisons whenever possible. Albeit, they're not direct comparisons, but they are specialty set ETBs. So not a one-to-one comparison because they're different eras and whatnot, but just I think that Crown Zenith ETB should be way more expensive than Paldean Fates ETBs. So yeah, ETBs are a go in my opinion. Even in the craziness that we have today, there are still a few go plays. I think we are seeing, if you're like other sealed product as well, like the booster bundles. This is one where I would maybe avoid a little bit more. We've seen a lot of booster bundles coming in. I think the ETBs are the no-brainer, but booster bundles are moving up as well, up around 50% in the past 3 months, from 44 up to $66. So if we zoom out right here, obviously we're at an all-time high. We did see these previously last year around 42, and then we got a ton more that came into the market because they had a lot of Crown Zenith stuff, like I said, and this kind of goes with the Seeing Skybox thing. Seeing Skybox and booster bundles. We haven't really seen that on the ETB side, obviously, but these came down from 42 back down to 27, and now we're seeing them, in the 60s. So, pretty good growth overall on the booster bundles. So, that's another thing that can happen when a lot of supply gets introduced. The prices can tank on sealed, depending on what the product is, but over time they just continue to move back up. So that's the thing. Like I said, the supply gets lowered as people rip the product. Then we have the mini tins, a mini tin display continuing to move up 66%. This is just under 200 right now currently, 114 to around 190 on the mini tin displays. Obviously single mini tins doing well, as obviously, but the mini tin display is just a different, more niche product, the mini tin displays, but just something I wanted to point out. We didn't pull up every single sealed product from Crown Zenith, obviously, but they're continuing to move, the majority just moving together, going up in value. So Crown Zenith mini tins doing well. And then a few other, so while at the beginning, we talked about cards that are kind of in the decline, right? It's not across the board, all the cards from the set are declining. We are seeing some that are continuing to rise in value, like this card, the Cynthia's Ambition. Now, I'm assuming, and it would be a pretty safe assumption, that this is moving up due to Destined Rivals with the Cynthia cards that we're seeing there. So this card's up 60% in the past 3 months, which is pretty big. Not the craziest like dollar jump, because it was a pretty cheap card back here, $11. We did see it go as high as 20 just like a week ago, and then it's kind of come down a little bit. It's around 17, $18 currently, but when you start to look at Destined Rivals, you go, okay, yeah, this is kind of a nice card. Cynthia getting a lot more attention, obviously, with the Garchomp card and all of that. So, we'll see where this card ends up. Obviously, you can see the sales right here a lot. 59 sales here, 60 sales here. So we'll see where it ends up at. Lowest listeds right now are around 17, and I'm assuming, yeah, all the sales pretty consistent, 17, 18, and some in the 16s. So nothing too crazy there, but this card is going up. You never know when a card, like this card, something new can get announced from a new set, Pokemon, even a trainer, can come into a popular new set and then bring up some of these older cards in value. So that's something that always happens. We zoom out right here. It's up 100% on the year. It looks like its 1 year low was around $7. So went from 11 down to 7, and now up to just under 20. So interesting jump right there on the Cynthia's Ambition. And then we have some other cards, excuse me, that are continuing to hold value and gain a little. They've cooled off a little bit, but these ones are continuing to rise, and that's the Leafeon and the Glaceon. And these are extremely nice art cards that I do think, Glaring Gallery, that a lot of people would probably say that they either, it could be, art's subjective, right? So some people would say they prefer these over the prismatic versions of the SIRs, even potentially depending on who you ask, because they are really nice. And I would say that, a lot of the rise on these cards is due to the Prismatic Evolutions hype. So that's another, big set bringing more attention, right, to other Pokemon and stuff. But the Leafeon's up 25% in the past 3 months. It was under 40, and now we're seeing almost 50, right, just below 50. And it was there back here as well in February, and then it came back down to like mid 40s, and it's kind of come back up. So nothing too crazy, but in the past month, it's up 8% versus some of those other cards that are down in the past month. And if we zoom out right here, 1 year, we can see pretty massive growth, 126%. It was a $20 card. Had the alt art boom last year, which happened in May, went up to 43, and then it came back down to around lower to mid 20s before coming up more recently. And you can see this little dip right here. So a little blip on the radar, like it said. It's kind of back up to essentially just under its 1 year high on the Leafeon. Then the Glaceon, not as crazy. You can see on the 1 month it's only up 5%, but on 3 months up around 10%, going from just under 40 to the peak at 48, and then it's kind of settled down lower 40-ish on the Glaceon. Another nice looking card. I feel like between the two, I think I prefer the Leafeon, but the Glaceon obviously really nice as well. And then if we zoom out right here, you'll see a similar chart back here a year ago. $18, $17 card. Alt art boom in May, pushed it up to the 40s, and then it came back down to just under 20 before. So this one is a little bit more under its 1 year high, but not too crazy, just a few dollars down below on the Glaceon. So I just wanted to talk about Crown Zenith again, because it can be hard. One, it's a set I like talking about, full transparency. It gets me excited. I feel like it's just one of those really fun top tier sets. It has a lot of great Pokemon. The 4 amazing gold cards. You have we didn't even talk about the legendary dogs. 3 legendary dogs. You got Evolutions. You got Mewtwo fighting Charizard. Like, and you can go on and on. And you got other legendaries in the set as well, and tons of great art, like all the way down. The Galarian Gallery smashes it out. You got a Pikachu card, like, right? So I like talking about it. Full transparency, okay? Just because it gets me excited. It's one of those. It's one of my favorite sets. But I do also think that it's good to talk about, products that are potential good buys, even in the market. Like I said, I am acknowledging that those Sea and Sky boxes, ETBs, a lot of that stuff, being over $100, it can be very expensive. But when you start to do the comparison game and you start to think down the road, think, even if you're not really into the investing side, if you wanted to pick up a box or two, you kind of got to think, well, what are these going to be at 5+ years down the road, when there's just not that many, as many out there. And this is such a good set, so you kind of got to think a little bit long term, and it can be hard to put that money away. But even if you want to open some packs, I still think that there's some pretty good value there between Sea and Sky and even ETBs. I think the loose pack value is just under $10 currently for Crown Zenith. I want to say it's like $9.60, somewhere in that range. Someone let me know in the comments if that number's off. I think it's just under $10 per pack is like the loose pack price. So if you break that down, for Sea and Sky, I think you're doing right there or a little bit under, and the ETB, you might be kind of in there or a little bit under as well. So keep that in mind, and maybe you can find maybe slightly better deals on eBay. I haven't checked eBay as of this morning, as of this recording, but like I said, it's a great set. I wanted to talk about it again, and also talk about it in relationship to what we just talked about 2 days ago with the trends that we're seeing. So even though those chase cards too, they are dropping, none of them dropping massively, or even to a certain extent as a lot of the other chase cards from some of the other sets that we talked about 2 days ago. So the drop being a little bit less so far, that doesn't mean they can't drop more in the future, but just something to keep an eye on. So that's all I have for this one, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Little Crown Zenith market update for you guys. I'll catch you guys in the next one. And remember, it was never a phase.